Okay, let's picture this. You're just walking home, maybe thinking about your day, checking your phone, whatever.
Yeah, totally normal.
Right. And then, bam, lights flash. Or maybe someone grabs your arm. You're accused of something. Something you know you didn't do.
And you're facing someone in authority, the whole situation feels impossible, like the deck is stacked.
Totally stacked. But what if? What if there's something about you they don't see? Something hidden, a skill maybe, or just who you really are?
Something that could actually turn everything on its head.
Exactly. That's the kind of thing we're diving into today. Welcome to the deep dive.
Our mission, as always, is to take the sources you give us, really pull them apart.
Peel back those layers, yeah, and find those surprising bits of insight, the stuff that makes you genuinely informed.
We want to give you that shortcut to understanding what's really going on in these complex stories.
And today, we have two just incredible accounts. Individuals facing down injustice, serious injustice.
And their hidden depths, whether it's like sheer force of character or some really high-level professional skills.
That becomes their ultimate weapon. Against lies, against deception.
These aren't just personal fights, though. They really shine a light on power dynamics, manipulation.
And just the raw power of truth when it finally comes out. It's explosive.
Absolutely. Our sources today are from the YouTube channel Chan's Stories. Two narratives.
First one, white cop lies about black woman in court, not knowing she's a high-ranking Navy SEAL.
Ooh. And the second, white cops frame black woman unaware she's a CIA agent. The truth explodes in court.
So, you've given us some really rich, detailed material here. We're going to unpack every critical moment.
We're looking at how these individuals navigated situations designed to crush them.
Our mission for you today. Let's explore how people, when they're profoundly underestimated by authority figures,
How they can actually expose systemic problems, things bigger than just one bad actor.
and achieve justice through these, honestly, almost unbelievable revelations.
We'll get into the details, the tactics on both sides.
Yeah, the aggressors and the protagonists. And think about what it means to stand firm when someone's trying to create a totally false reality around you.
Okay, let's get into it.
Sounds good. Because these stories show how knowledge, integrity, just refusing to be silenced, it can dismantle even really well-built lies, lies backed by institutions.
It really can. Okay, first up, Monica Jackson. Her battle for truth. This is a courtroom drama, pure and simple.
And the source paints such a picture, doesn't it? The courtroom itself, suffocating.
Yeah, morning sun, shadows, polished wood, but heavy, like a pressure cooker.
Benches filling up, spectators, journalists jotting notes.
And that quiet tension from maybe family, friends, you can almost feel the anxiety.
Yeah, the air thick with it. Old wood polish and nerves.
And right in the middle of all that, there's Monica Jackson.
The description is so striking. Calm, despite everything.
Dark brown skin, neat braids. But sitting ramrod straight, hands clasped. It's not fear, it's something else.
Defiance, maybe. The source mentions her clothes, crisp white blouse, black slacks, chosen to show respect, humility.
But then, the contradiction. Her eyes.
Sharp, scanning the room, like she's assessing, not just observing.
The source calls it a quiet intensity. It feels out of place for someone accused of a violent crime. It's fascinating.
That phrase, quiet intensity, it really sticks with you. It's the first clue, isn't it, that there's more here.
Definitely. And the other players, Judge Howard Grayson, older, white, looks weary but maybe a little intrigued.
And Officer Bradley Simmons?
Oh, yeah. Smug, confident, sitting there radiating this arrogance like he can't be touched.
Years of unquestioned authority, the source says, believing he's untouchable.
And Monica's lawyer, Benjamin Carter, young, black, looks nervous, shuffling papers.
Fresh out of law school, apparently, looking to Monica for reassurance.
The case itself, State versus Monica Jackson, already has buzz. Local news is there.
So the stakes feel high right from the start. It's not just another case.
That tension is crucial. The courtroom is the stage, and the first act is Officer Simmons' story.
His fabricated narrative. And the source calls his walk to the stand a performance.
Totally. Exaggerated movements, adjusting the uniform.
Even a little smirk at Monica, a predator sure of his prey.
But Monica's watching, taking it all in, like someone trained to read people, assess threats.
His story sounds simple enough at first. Responding to a disturbance finds Monica loitering.
And the source points out loitering is such a catch-all term, right? Often used without real cause, especially against people of color.
A justification. He claimed she immediately got hostile, refused ID, raised her voice.
And then, the big one, physically assaulted him.
He really plays up the assault part. pained expression, claims she hit him in the chest.
And attempted to reach for his service weapon.
Wow. That's serious.
He says he had no choice but to restrain her.
And the immediate reaction in court. Gasps. People are shocked.
But Monica, still, face like a mask, calm.
Though someone apparently muttered, "Sounds like a lie," but got shushed quickly.
Yeah, that little detail says a lot. People sense it, but maybe they're afraid to say it out loud.
And Simmons. After testifying, he goes back to his seat. Smirk becomes a full grin. Winks at other officers.
Total confidence. Like he knows the system has his back, believes he's got this wrapped up.
Which makes Monica's testimony even more powerful. Her controlled counter.
Right. She walks up, calm, deliberate, smoothing her blouse, takes the stand, feeling the weight of all those eyes.
But meets them head on. And her first words, steady, measured, no emotion.
She says Simmons' account isn't just wrong, it's intentionally misleading.
Boom. Direct challenge. The prosecutor jumps on that, demands proof.
But Monica's calm confidence throws him off just for a second. Her version is so precise.
On her way home, stopped to check her phone for directions. Corner of Magnolia and 5th. Simmons approaches.
Flashlight in her face. Tone not friendly.
And when the prosecutor tries to trap her, asking if she questioned his authority.
She corrects him. So calmly, I questioned his motive.
Huge distinction. She says, "I wasn't obstructing traffic, trespassing, or causing any disturbance. I wanted to know why he was asking for my ID."
It shifts everything. She wasn't being defiant. She was asking a reasonable question.
Exactly. Not resisting authority, but questioning a specific aggressive action that seemed biased.
Then comes the physical contact. She says Simmons got impatient, raised his voice, called her uncooperative.
And then just grabbed my arm.
And when she tells him to let go,
He tightened his grip and then dropped that line. "Women like you need to learn how to listen."
oof. That hits hard. You can imagine the reaction in the courtroom. More gasps, probably louder this time.
It exposes the bias, the misogyny, the abuse of power right there.
And her point is clear. I wasn't resisting until he violated my rights.
She flat out denies assaulting him, denies reaching for his weapon, calls it a fabrication.
And then she goes after the body camera.
Oh yeah, brilliant move. Asks him directly, with that quiet sarcasm, "No, because the body camera he was wearing conveniently malfunctioned. Isn't that right, Officer Simmons?"
You could probably see him squirm. His discomfort speaks volumes.
The prosecutor tries to recover, suggesting Monica was strong, threatening, but she doesn't budge. Her composure is absolute.
She let Simmons build his house of cards.
And then, calmly prepared to blow it down, this sets up the big reveal perfectly.
What a setup. Monica had said, the truth always has a way of revealing itself, and her lawyer promised more evidence.
The next day, the courtroom is buzzing.
Yeah.
You can feel the anticipation.
And then the footage appears. Shaky, partly blocked, maybe filmed secretly.
But the audio, crystal clear.
You hear Simmons, "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Dismissive.
Then Monica's voice, steady. "I'm not resisting, let go of my arm."
And the video shows the shove against the car, and then you hear it, loud and clear.
Simmons' voice, dripping with contempt. "Women like you don't get to question me."
Wow, the source says the courtroom was stunned, like the air got sucked out.
Because it just demolishes his entire story. Undeniable proof.
But wait, the real bombshell hasn't even dropped yet.
Right. Carter calls Monica back to the stand. Final testimony.
And her presence now. It's different. Commanding. Posture. Straight as a soldier.
Setting the stage. She leans in slightly, hands on the stand, and then she says it. Voice filling the silence.
I am Lieutenant Commander Monica Jackson, retired Navy SEAL.
Can you imagine? Gasps rippling through the room. Stunned silence.
Even the judge is taken aback. His usual composure just gone for a second.
And Simmons, his face goes pale. It hits him. The gravity of his lie, who he lied about.
And she doesn't stop there. She explains 20 years service, most dangerous combat zones, leading elite teams, discipline, precision, strength.
She calmly lays out how she used that very training in that moment to stay calm, to de-escalate, to protect myself from harm without resorting to violence.
She makes it clear. She never tried to harm him, never reached for his weapon. He was a threat to my dignity, not a physical threat needing that kind of response.
It completely reframes everything. Her composure wasn't just personality, it was training, discipline.
Exactly. It makes Simmons's claim of being threatened seem utterly absurd. Her identity didn't just clear her name, it actively discredited his entire narrative by revealing her capabilities and character.
It's like she let him walk right into the trap of underestimation. Her deferred credibility, as you put it, was devastating.
Absolutely. And from that moment, Simmons just falls apart.
His re-testimony is described as shaky, posture stiff, shoulders slumped.
He tries to backtrack, saying the video is incomplete, out of context, but there's no conviction left. It sounds hollow.
Benjamin Carter's cross-examination then just seals the deal. Masterful.
He hammers the contradiction.
Yeah.
The malfunctioning body cam versus the clear eyewitness video.
And challenges Simmons directly on his claim of fear. Basically says, you weren't scared, you were acting like a bully who thought you could get away with it.
Brutal and effective. But then Carter takes it a step further towards the systemic issue.
Yes. He reveals Simmons's personnel record. Lays it bare.
Multiple complaints, excessive force, racial bias, improper conduct.
And the kicker. These complaints were either ignored or buried by the department.
That's the systemic part. It wasn't just Simmons. It was the system that protected him that allowed this pattern to continue.
It makes you wonder how many other complaints against him or others got swept under the rug. How deep did that bias run?
Monica's closing statement was incredibly powerful, speaking to the jury, but also looking right at Simmons.
I have faced enemies on the battlefield,
Yeah.
but I never thought I would face one in my own country. Powerful words.
She says he didn't see her as a person, a citizen, a veteran. He saw me as a target.
And then that final devastating line. You underestimated me, Officer Simmons, but more importantly, you underestimated the truth. And the truth always has a way of coming to light.
Chills. Just chills. The jury didn't take long.
Not guilty on all charges. And they went further, recommending an investigation into Simmons himself.
The fallout was swift. Simmons fired, facing criminal charges for perjury, misconduct.
Even his fellow officers backed away. Didn't want to be tainted by his lies.
And Monica, she becomes this symbol. Resilience. Justice. Speaking at events. Her story resonates.
It's incredible. Her calm, her training. It wasn't passive. It was an active strategy that completely disarmed him and exposed the whole rotten system beneath.
Her internal discipline dismantled his external fabrication. A profound example.
Okay, let's shift gears now to our second story. Talia Porter. This one moves from the courtroom to a quiet Virginia town.
Right, Arlington, Virginia. The source sets the scene. Hum of streetlights, deserted sidewalks, deceptively calm.
Almost suburban normal, which makes what happens next feel even more jarring.
We meet Talia Porter driving her sleek black SUV, hands relaxed, composed. But she's not just anyone.
No, the source calls her a field operative. Her undercover work is ending. She has everything ready for a clean exit.
This tells you immediately she's operating with a different level of awareness. Preparation.
Then the seemingly routine stop. Flashing lights, siren cutting through the quiet.
Officer Brandon Carter approaches, tall, square jaw, authoritative. With Officer Mark Sullivan shorter, stockier.
Carter's reason for the stop. Talia supposedly failed to stop at that sign back there.
And Talia's immediate internal reaction is key. I'm certain I stopped. No panic, just analysis.
She knows she didn't run the sign. She's already processing the situation, not just reacting.
Then comes the setup, the discovery. Sullivan calls Carter over to the back of the SUV. Points.
To a small unmarked bag sitting conspicuously near the edge.
Sullivan's mock surprise. Looks like we found ourselves a bag of powdery goodness, just dripping with fake innocence.
And Talia knows instantly that bag wasn't hers. She was sure of it. This was a setup.
They arrest her. Possession with intent to distribute. A serious felony charge.
But her response, again, remarkably calm.
Yeah.
Almost knowing, you're making a big mistake. She already sees the game.
That calmness is unsettling for them, you can imagine. It signals she's not a typical target. Inside the station, the environment itself tells a story.
Yeah, fluorescence, scuffed floors, peeling paint, but also that casual camaraderie.
Suggesting, as the source says, a network of shared secrets and unspoken codes. A culture where maybe this kind of thing isn't unusual.
Carter and Sullivan are full of arrogance, thinking they got ourselves a big one tonight.
Figuring she's just another name in the system now, that nobody's going to dig too deep.
We were openly mocking her. Looks like she's been running more than stop signs.
Yeah.
Utter confidence in their impunity.
But Talia, she's using the time strategically, observing everything. Camera placement, desk layout, officer routines, gathering intel.
When they process her, she gives her occupation as a vague consultant, keeping her cards close.
And when Carter tries to bait her, calls her story a sob story, her response is chillingly calm.
That quiet silence then. Or maybe they'll see through yours. It plants a seed of doubt, gets under his skin.
This is where it gets really interesting. Pure tradecraft. Talia discreetly triggers a device.
A small, inconspicuous tracker. Standard issue for CIA operatives.
It sends a silent signal to her team. This isn't panic, it's protocol. A pre-planned countermove. She knows they would know what to do.
She's not just reacting anymore. She's actively countering their setup, using her training and resources.
Exactly. It's a calculated counterintelligence move right from the start. Very different from how Monica's situation unfolded initially.
While Talia's working her angles, another piece falls into place. Officer Keller.
The unwitting catalyst. Young, eager, new, he finds Talia's calm, weird, not normal.
That bag of drugs just seems too convenient, it bothers him. But there are those unwritten rules, right? Don't question senior officers.
He's conflicted, but he starts looking, pulls Talia's file, sees that unusual gap in her employment, reviews Carter and Sullivan's report.
Finds it too tidy, too scripted, like a template they've used before.
And Talia sees his doubt, those faint cracks in his resolve. She speaks to him quietly, directly.
Challenges him.
Yeah.
That's what they're counting on. Men like Carter and Sullivan, they rely on people like you to look the other way.
And then the moral core. You always have a choice.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
It pushes Keller past his fear. He accesses the records archive.
And discovers it. The disturbingly similar pattern. Minor traffic stops blowing up into drug charges.
And the chilling detail. Most of the defendants were people of color. Most were convicted. This confirms it's not isolated. It's a system.
This discovery, coupled with his conscience, pushes him to act. He sends that secure email.
To whom it may concern. Attaches the files. There's something wrong in this station. Please help. An act of real courage, breaking the code of silence.
And that email, combined presumably with Talia's tracker signal, unleashes the storm. The truth explodes.
Cue the FBI. A nondescript black sedan rolls into the lot. Classic.
Agents step out. Crisp black suits, badges gleaming. Federal authority has arrived.
Agent Daniel Price leads. Tall, graying hair, stern expression, no messing around.
The station goes quiet. Awkward silence. Keller freezes. Carter and Sullivan's laughter just dies.
Price's team gets to work. Methodical. Digital archives, records. They find the inconsistencies, repeated arrests, identical stories, procedural gaps.
Price nails it. This isn't just bad policing, it's systemic. The pattern is undeniable now.
The interrogation must have been intense. Price confronts Carter and Sullivan.
With the evidence, images from station security cameras showing them holding the bag before the search.
Oh, caught red-handed.
And then the audio from Talia's hidden device, capturing their conversation about how easy it would be to frame her.
Game over. Their own words condemning them.
Sullivan goes pale. Carter's bravado began to crumble, shoulders sagging. They realize someone inside talked. Keller's email.
The internal solidarity they relied on is gone. Talia is released. Quietly.
You're free to go! And her quiet thank you to Keller, that unspoken understanding between them. Powerful.
What's amazing here is Talia's precision. It wasn't reactive. It was a calculated operation from the moment she knew it was a setup.
Proactive intelligence gathering as a weapon. She leveraged her skills not just to defend herself, but to dismantle the whole corrupt operation. She engineered justice.
The fallout was huge. Not just for Carter and Sullivan.
No, they were let out in handcuffs, defeated, pled guilty, got lengthy prison sentences, careers ruined, reputations destroyed.
But it sent shockwaves through the town. Talia's charges dropped, obviously.
And crucially, cases tied to the officer's misconduct were reopened. Think of the potential for other wrongful convictions to be overturned.
The station itself, massive overhaul. Other officers resigned under scrutiny. The whole system got shaken up.
It shows how internal integrity, like Keller's, combined with external pressure and solid evidence, can actually break through that wall of silence and complicity.
Keller faced mixed reactions. Being a whistleblower isn't easy, but he knew he did the right thing.
And Talia's affirmation to him meant everything. You earned this conversation. Recognizing his courage, it made a difference to the people they hurt, the systemic impact. And it made a difference to you, the personal integrity aspect.
Kali goes back to her quiet life. But not really, already prepping for the next mission.
Because there's always another fight. For her, justice isn't just an endpoint, it's a way of life, a constant pursuit.
Wow. Two incredible stories. Okay, let's get the threads here. What's the shared ground? What's different?
The most obvious shared ground is underestimation, right?
Absolutely fundamental. In both cases, the officer saw Monica and Talia as easy targets. Just another defendant. Just another name. Dismissible.
Their arrogance, their bias, blinded them. And that blindness was their downfall.
Both faced totally fabricated charges too. Lies designed to control them cover up other issues.
Assaulting an officer for Monica, drug trafficking for Talia, serious stuff, built on nothing. But the truth eventually dismantled those lies.
And their hidden strengths were key. Monica's SEAL background gave her that incredible composure, credibility.
Talia's CIA training gave her the strategic mind, the tools, the protocols to actively counter the setup. These weren't just character traits, they were actionable skills.
Skills that provided the counter-narratives and the evidence needed to break through the deception.
And both stories strongly hint at the systemic issues. It wasn't just these specific officers.
Right. Ignored complaints in Monica's case, the pattern of similar arrests in Talia's. It points to departments where misconduct was tolerated, maybe even protected.
The unwritten rules, the buried records, signs of a deeper problem.
And ultimately, they both stood up for more than just themselves. They became symbols for anyone wronged by those meant to protect them.
Definitely. But their paths to getting justice were quite different.
Yeah, how they gathered evidence, for one. Monica relied more on external luck, almost that bystanders' video was crucial.
Her strength was enduring, presenting her truth compellingly when the evidence emerged.
Talia, though, she engineered her evidence collection. The hidden device, nudging Keller. Much more proactive, covert initially.
Her approach was about creating the evidence stream herself.
And their professional backgrounds shaped their tactics differently, too.
Monica's military discipline gave her that courtroom presence, that unshakable calm that made her story so believable against Simmons's lies. It was about internal control projecting outward truth.
Talia's intelligence background led to a more strategic, almost offensive counter-operation. Anticipating moves, dismantling the network, a surgical takedown.
And the visibility differed, too. Monica's fight was a public drama in the courtroom.
Very visible. Talia's initial moves were hidden, covert, leading to a public outcome, yes, with the FBI raid, but orchestrated from the shadows initially.
Two different strategies, both incredibly effective in their contexts.
So we've seen these two amazing women, Monica Jackson, Talia Porter, take down lies, expose corruption.
Yeah.
All because they stood in their truth and used strengths people didn't even know they had.
Their stories are potent reminders that justice can prevail, especially when the underestimated refuse to be silenced. Truth finds a way.
And hopefully you listening now have a clearer picture of how perception, power, and just sheer integrity play out in these fights for justice.
These aren't just thrilling stories. They're deeply human accounts of resilience, courage, and using truth as a shield and a weapon.
So the final thought to leave you with, what does this all mean for you? In our world, information overload, narratives spun constantly, facts twisted.
How do you look beneath the surface? How do you spot when reality is being manufactured, maybe even in smaller ways in your own life or community?
And what role do we all play, really, in making sure the truth, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient, actually gets heard?
Something to think about.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, keep asking questions.
And keep seeking out those powerful stories that challenge how you see the world.